Accused 9/11 mastermind Khalid Sheikh Mohammed and 4 of his alleged 9/11 co-conspirators are coming to New York City to face trial. It is a done deal. It is happening. It's at least some of the 9/11 perpetrators finally being brought to justice more than 8 years after the crime. And it's apparently being seen as a golden opportunity to revive the Bush-Cheney era politicization of terrorism.
He is asking for a trial in New York, and we're giving it to him. Since when are we in the business of granting the wishes of terrorists? He should be tried in a military tribunal. He is a war criminal. This was an act of war.
He should be tried in a military tribunal, not in federal court. Very punchy talking point, right? The awkwardness for Mr. Giuliani is that back in 1994, when the first World Trade Center bombing was being prosecuted in federal court, he took the exact opposite position, saying at the time, quote, "I think it shows you put terrorism on one side, you put our legal system on the other, and our legal system comes out ahead." Yeah, our legal system can handle it, except when it can't, and then it's an outrage. Grr. In the event of terrorism convictions, we have now learned that one of the places administration officials are thinking about housing prisoners is a maximum security prison in Thompson, Illinois, about 150 miles west of Chicago. It's called the Thompson Correctional Center, a giant prison that's been largely vacant since it was built in 2001. The prison has about 1,600 empty maximum security cells and 200 minimum security cells, which are the only ones that are being used right now. Federal officials toured the prison today to see if it might be suitable for, say, some prisoners brought from Guantanamo. It was an idea suggested by the governor of Illinois. It has support from both of the state's U.S. senators. And residents of Thompson appear to favor the idea, since it's expected to create around 3,000 jobs and to pump about $1 billion into the local economy there. With all of that support, what would stop something like this from happening? Well, say hello to Republican Congressman Mark Kirk of Illinois. He's running for the United States Senate there. And in one of those you can't make this stuff up moments, Mr. Kirk has now launched a new website called NoTerroristsInIllinois.com. If you type NoTerroristsInIllinois.com into your computer, you will be redirected to Congressman Kirk's campaign website. And alongside the big red Contribute button, you can read a letter to President Obama that reads in part, quote, "As home to America's tallest building, we should not invite al-Qaeda to make Illinois its #1 target. We should only imprison people convicted of terrorism in places with low-slung buildings, obviously." Congressman Kirk and 3 of his Republican House colleagues held a press conference on the issue earlier today.
By bringing them to a U.S. facility and granting them the right to visitation, a flow will now start through O'Hare International Airport, looking at the Sears Tower, which they looked at before. And I just wonder if this is an acceptable risk.
That's all we need in northern Illinois is to be known as the Gitmo North, the place that replaced Gitmo.
Gitmo North. Thousands of al-Qaeda terrorists flowing through the O'Hare. If this sort of thing strikes you as embarrassingly, transparently politics at its worst fear-mongering, you might be a member of the American Conservative Union or the fiercely conservative group Americans for Tax Reform, because leaders of those two groups have come together to blast their otherwise ideological brethren for trying to score political points on this one. Quote, "Civilian federal courts are the proper forum for terrorism cases. Civilian prisons are the safe, cost-effective, and appropriate venue to hold persons convicted in federal courts. The scaremongering about these issues should stop." Again, that's not me. That's American Conservative Union leader and Americans for Tax Reform leader. Politicizing terrorism so badly right now that even guys on the right are calling it out as scaremongering. Joining us now is Lynn Sweet. She's the Washington bureau chief for the Chicago Sun-Times. She's been covering this story for politicsdaily.com. Lynn, thanks very much for joining us tonight.
Hi, Rachel.
So in Illinois, the governor, the state's 2 senators, and the town of Thompson all supporting this decision to possibly move prisoners there. Given that, what explains the political hubbub here?
Well, 2 words. February 2nd, that's the date of the Illinois primary. Now, a lot of the nation has not focused on this because so much attention was on the Virginia and the New Jersey governor's races and that open house seat in New York that few people realize that this big contest is coming up, and symbolically, you couldn't have a more of a perfect storm. It's President Obama's old seat. It's the governor fighting for the job, the governor who got his job when Rod Blagojevich was impeached. I mean, all your stories that you've done for the past, bit of months come together here. So you have this dramatic governor's race, and he has a primary with another Democrat. You've got the wide-open Senate race, and Kirk is a front-runner Republican candidate. So the two words as to why this became a sizzling political story right away is you have this primary just a few weeks away.
In terms of the character of the opposition, the substance of the opposition here, Congressman Kirk is saying that thousands of members of Al-Qaeda are going to be streaming through O'Hare Airport to visit the prisoners there. I know that you talked to the White House about that issue today. What are they saying about this?
Well, what they're saying, and I wish the White House would come forward a little more and just deal more publicly with facts on this, that this detention facility will be bought by the Bureau of Prisons, Rachel. They will lease a part of it to the Department of Defense. They'll run this. That will be a military brig. So, and I talked to some of the, I just wish people could listen to some facts on this one. There is a very meaty debate to be had about where you locate these facilities. The Bureau of Prisons has mandatory visitation. This is not going to be a Bureau of Prisons facility. It's going to be run by the Defense Department. They'll have their rules. The White House told me no visitors.
As we've noted on this show before, there are hundreds of people convicted of terrorism-related offenses in prisons across the country right now. I think that includes something like 35 convicted terrorists currently housed in Illinois. Has that ever been a political issue in Illinois before? Have politicians ever argued that those prisoners should be transferred to other states or anything?
No, and this is a facility in a town called Marion in far southern Illinois, and that has been there for years, and the people in there have never been a source of controversy.
Wow. The town of Thompson, Illinois, has this huge prison there, sitting there basically empty. I'm guessing that it was sort of built on spec in 2001. What can you tell us about Thompson?
Well, not really. It was during a building boom. Governors had money back in the day. It was completed in 2001, and no one foresaw the whole fall collapse of the economy. So Governor Blagojevich, remember that name, you know him well, he never had the money to open it up. So they just made it a minimum security facility. The town is hurting, so you don't have any local resistance. The town already was set for a super max facility with a lot of bad guys in it. The larger national discussion is going on now because you have just on Friday the announcement that the 9/11 detainees will be sent to New York. The next day you have this announcement. Now, this is not a done deal. There are other places being looked at, but I'm told that this is pretty far along right now. The building is already there. You have a friendly infrastructure of the state officials because it's all Democrats who run the state, but you do have a lot of Republican House members, and with the big Senate contest there, they are making their views known. Also, the House member from that district is a Republican, and so he would like the state facility to be sold to the federal government, but just don't put any detainees in it.
Lynn Sweet, Washington bureau chief for the Chicago Sun-Times and a columnist for politicsdaily.com. This is the most nuanced, not in my backyard debate ever. Thanks for your time tonight helping us sort it out. Appreciate it.
Thank you.